This is episode 4 of Kane Paul's life. I have another episode to do. I'm gonna try to give you this episode from the best perspective I possibly can while playing 2K. So on this episode, I wanted to tell you about my father and just how it was growing up with him as he was an incarcerated man. So for everyone that's watching, just to kind of break this news off a little bit slowly, my father was incarcerated from the age of 2 in my life. I was born, I'm not gonna say that, but yeah, let's just say from the age of 2 on, my father was incarcerated until we'll get to that part in the story. So that's the thing that's happening. My father is incarcerated for majority of my life. So I wanted to tell my side of the story when having a father who was incarcerated, but also is trying to be active in your life. I thought this would be an interesting story to share and to just give a bit of perspective. And I promise you at some point I'm going to tie all of these stories together on why I'm telling you these. But for now, I just wanted to kind of transmute this pain and, kind of give you a story and maybe a bit of a background of who I am. So just getting started first. Like I said, incarcerated at age 2. Oh no. Just now, I don't know or have many memories from my father at a young age. The only story that I can remember was the only memory I have of him not in prison, because he had gotten out. Let's say he was in jail at age 2, and let's say at age 6 or 7 in my life, he got out for a brief period of time. This is crazy. Throughout that brief period of time, he picked me up one time and brought me over to his mom's house. And I remember he took off and oh no. Oh no. I remember he took off and I was just with my siblings, and I had a lot of siblings at this point in time in the story. We are getting stomped right now. This is not great. Yeah. Come on. There we go. So my only memory of my father growing up was him taking me to my grandmother's house and basically leaving me there with my siblings the entire day. And I remember my mom came back and picked me up, and she was pretty mad that, I was with all of these kids, and it was a thing. Oh no. Handle your business. My fault. I was interrupting history. I just wanted that, sis. So come on, where you at with it? So I'm telling you all of that in regards to him and our youth growing up, just to kind of paint the picture of, I don't really have a background with my father prior, and if I do, I don't really remember it. Like I said, he went to jail at age 2, got out at probably age 6. We interacted maybe 2 or 3 times, and then he was back in jail maybe back at age 7. It was real fast from the period he was out of jail to back to prison. And then the time that he was back to prison, that was the time he was sentenced to over 35 years in prison. Now, I'm going to walk you through all of the layers of the story and how it happened to me in real time, so that you can best understand why I have the perspective that I have and maybe how we got here. So I want to start off with telling you about my father. And like I said, from age 6 age 7 he goes back to prison, and then from there he's in prison from the entirety of my life. So let's just say at age 7 he's back in prison, and then some years go by. Let's say I don't hear from him, or I don't hear anything about my father for the next 4 to 5 years. So the next 4 to 5 years goes by. I'm 10 or 11, and I don't hear or know about my father. Now, I'll be honest. My mother is dating this dude who's dark skinned, kind of, has similar traits as me. And because me and my father don't have that many memories, or, that many things that we talked about, we have no core memories. I don't really know who my father is at this point in time, and I don't really care. To me, it's a toss up between 1 or 2 dudes. It's maybe it's this dude, and then maybe it's this dude, because I kind of look like him. Now, my father was a light-skinned man with, like, you know, nice hair, and that's not me. I'm a dark-skinned man with real rough and tough hair. Like, I got some of that 1968 hair. So there's a bit of, you know, there's a bit of a look difference. I mean, but you know, that's not uncommon, right? That happens. Black households, stuff like that. Oh, I mean, oh, we go. Whoa, they gave him the rib. So, like I said, years go by and we don't hear, and I don't hear from my father. So fast forward, I'm like age 10 or 11. All of a sudden, a phone call comes to our home phone. I'm upstairs playing the game like I am right now. So I'm up here, I'm doing my thing. I'm balling on these boys just like I am right now. Who knows that I was playing, but let's just say I'm doing my thing on anything that I'm doing, right? So I'm balling, I'm doing my thing, and all I hear is ring, 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 ring. Oh no, oh no. So someone answers the phone. Yo, what up? Now, at the time, I don't hear all you know, in real time, what I'm hearing is, yeah, right, you bitch ass nigga. Yeah, you dropped the soap, nigga. But in fast forward, I'm going to tell you the story from a third person perspective so you understand what's happening. Because I did, you know, obviously in conversation, I didn't find out the full story and what's happening. But so what's happening is I'm upstairs playing the game and my father has tracked me down. Apparently I was lost. I didn't know I was lost. Like I said, I don't know nothing about this dude, and I don't even kind of think he's really the dude. I'm like, this dude that my mom is with is more likely to be the real dude, but I didn't know. And I'll be honest, I was just one of those kids who didn't ask questions. I'm not saying that's a good idea, but that's what happened. So at this time, I don't know what my dad is. I don't really care what my dad is. I'll be honest with you, but I gotta talk. If I'm guessing, I got my money on this dark-skinned dude who my mom been with. So like I said, I'm upstairs playing the game, and all of a sudden downstairs I hear some ruckus going on. What I find out in the story is my father has tracked me down, and because I've been lost to him for years. This distance of time that has happened was not something that he wanted. Apparently, there was a disconnect between him and my mom, or a misunderstanding from what I understand. And my mom said, you know, you're not going to talk to him no more. And he said, hey, don't do that. So from what I understand, my mom won that. And yeah, we got out of there. Well, I was taken pretty much. We moved somewhere in an area that he wasn't familiar with and just never told him about what happened. So apparently he did his, you know, he did his research and found us, or found my mom, or found our phone number online from jail and then gave us a call, which I found to be very, 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 like, man, I'm telling you, you can do a lot of things from jail. That's just side note. But so who's answering the phone right now is, oh, I'm sorry. Who's answering the phone is my mother's current boyfriend, who's not the dude I had money on. He would later turn out to be my sister's father. But this man, my mother's boyfriend at the time, is on the phone, and he's answering the home phone. My father, who's incarcerated, is on the other side of this phone. And, you know, he got a lot to say, but not to the dude on the phone. That's a lot of disrespect to the dude that's answering this phone. Because in my father's mind, from what I understand, you shouldn't even be there. You there pretty much on a technicality. If I wasn't in prison, I would be there. So this is like, you know, it's almost like talking to a phony, pretty much. So that's how my father's coming off of it. So, you know, the phone call goes something like, yo, put how I'm gonna phrase this? Put M on the phone. Who the hell is this? Don't worry about who this is. Just put M on the phone. Now, I don't think that's a good way to do that. I wouldn't recommend you start a conversation like that, but that's how my father felt. So he like, yo, put M on the phone. And, you know, the boyfriend of my mom is not liking this. He's getting real angry. He like, yo, who you talking to? Who are you talking to? Who is this? And he like, and then, you know, my father at the time, he says his street name. And he's like, yeah, you know, this is Bad Style. And he like, Bad Style? Ain't you in jail? And he like, yo, put M on the phone. Why am I talking to you? You shouldn't even be there. Put M on the phone. So now the conversation is getting real disrespectful because the boyfriend doesn't like this. He feels like he's not being acknowledged. So now he's starting to get angry. So now it was more insults from him. You ain't gonna never get to talk to M. You ain't gonna never get to talk to M. You ain't gonna, yo, don't drop this soap. Don't drop this soap. How many minutes you got left on this call? Yeah, it's not many minutes left. And I just remember like, wow, this is a crazy conversation. I don't know who he's talking to with this cricket phone, but he makes sure he about to drain his minutes. Like I'm thinking like, yo, he is draining somebody's minutes on purpose and laughing about it. This is a cold world. But I didn't know what was going on. So the phone gets hung up mad aggressively. I continue to play the game as like I'm doing right now. Back then I wasn't getting stumped like I am right now, but that's no big deal. So, give me that. For the hood, get in there. So the phone gets hung up, and now my mom, who's at work, comes home. I'm still upstairs. Wow, I'm still upstairs playing the game, and I hear kind of the recap of the story, but I don't really understand much of it because it's a lot of yelling. So I can hear the boyfriend telling my mom the run back of the phone call. We're getting killed. This looking like an 18-6, but we'll see. But I can hear the playback downstairs, and it's like, yeah, your jailbird was on the phone. Your jailbird called for you. He was talking out the side of his mouth. I had to hang up on his ass. And my mom, I don't really remember much of what she said, but just to kind of, if I had to act out how it went, it was more like, don't be arguing with him. Don't be saying this stuff like that. You better call me next time. Why are you calling him? If he don't say something, you gotta let him say something. Who cares what he's talking? He's in jail. He's in jail. He doesn't have that many minutes. He's calling his son. Why are you talking to him? That's all I remember. But I don't remember much. So some time goes by. Let's say an hour goes by. The phone rings again. Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring. Yo, who is this? This is the boyfriend again. Yo, put M on the phone, quit playing. Apparently this time M in this story, who's my mom, is standing right in front of the boyfriend. So he can't just slam it down aggressively like last time. So this time he hands the phone off to M and say, yeah, your jailbird on the phone. This is all what I heard later in the story. No. Ooh. Yeah, that's an automatic loss, chat. We 18-6. I'm gonna write it down. Anybody who dunk on me like that, you gotta let them win that. That means they determined. Give me a second, write that down. 18-6. All right, that man was determined. He was real, raw, and athletic. So Miss M gets the phone. M is on the phone like, yo. So I find this third person part out after all of this happens. But I'm gonna tell you how it happened. M has the phone now. Yo, let me see my son. Why you been hunting my son? Yo, why you got that bozo, answering the phone? Where you been at? I've been looking for you. It's been a couple years now. Why you run off on me? Motherfucker, how you find me, nigga? How you find me? How you get this number? How you get this number? How'd you get this information? Who sent you? How did you do that? Who said that? How'd you find my? You better not be having nobody follow me. That's all I remember, but I don't remember much. So that happens. So I remember that my mom just yelling at the phone and my father kind of talking calmly but also laughing. That's what was recapped to me, and that's how I kind of heard the story when I thought about them talking about it. So fast forward, M stops yelling. M busts in my room. Boosh! Your dad on the phone. Here I am, my dad on the phone. All right, let me talk to him. Hello? Yeah, son, it's your dad. I've been looking for you for a long time, son. How you been? I've been cool. I've been all right. I've been all right, man. Just playing this game. All right, yeah. So you like to play games, son? I see that. All right. What kind of games, son? Talk to me. What you like? Like Super Mario? He naming games for when he was out. I'm like, nah. I like to play. I don't know, SmackDown versus Raw. Say something like that, right? He like, oh yeah, SmackDown versus Raw, son. That's what you like? All right, all right. Some wrestling? All right, okay. Like, you know, like the rock, like, woo. All right. So I'm just thinking, like, yo, this dude is nuts. I don't know who this dude on the phone is, but man, he's a colorful dude. But so the conversation kind of goes or sums up with like, hey, we need to start seeing each other. Tell your mother I want to start seeing you, and then hand me back, you know, I love you. He gives me like a Bible scripture quote, and then I hand the phone back over to my mother. M has the phone. M takes the phone back. M, you know, the conversation kind of goes, yeah, you didn't answer my question. So how'd you get my information? I still didn't answer. Okay, cool. That happens, right? Boom. Fast forward. The phone gets hung up. M comes in my room. Caboose. Yo, so you want to see your dad? And I'm like, why not? He sounds like a cool dude. I guess I don't know him, so let's get to know him. So yeah, that was the introduction of me starting the relationship with my father. Now, what you'll understand throughout this story is that we started our relationship like 4 or 5 times, and it was ended multiple times because of me and just multiple factors. And I'll try to tell you as much as I can, as quickly as I can, because I'm trying to get this all accomplished within an hour. So from that conversation, me, my father, and my mother, we kind of make a pact that I am now going to start seeing my father. Why am I getting spammed? Who is this? Thingy? Who the hell is Thingy? I don't know nobody named Thingy. Who the hell is Thingy? I don't know anybody. But anyway, I'm getting disciplined. But anyway, from that conversation, we make a pact that I'm going to start seeing him again. So let's fast forward some months in the story. Me, my grandmother, meaning his mother, and my mother, we all take a trip to go see him. All I remember from that trip is that it was real long to get there. And I remember it was cold and it was snowing. And I remember we were in a rental and I didn't know what to expect because I had never went to prison. I'm only like, I don't know, let's say 11 at this point in time. And it was just all new, and I didn't even really know my grandmother on my mother's side like that. So it was just all like, okay, who are you? All right, I'm this person. Yeah, okay, all right, great, yeah, and yeah, your dad is just like this, and it's like, all right, okay, this is cool. I don't know who you are. I'm about to go meet who this dude is, and who. All right. So, but you don't know what to expect. You know, from the premise, it's like, well, he's in prison, so this is gonna be interesting, at the very least. We get to the prison. Visiting prison is, you know, just like you may expect, terrible. Everything about it is trash. You get there. I remember getting there and having to like remove like my whole outfit. It was like, yeah, take your belt off, take your shoestrings off, take your shoes out, take your shoes off, take your socks off. Like, it was just like going through an airport, but like a racist airport. It was that. So we get through that racist airport, and mind you, I'm tired by the time we get to the prison because we had to wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to start this little trip. I think it took like 6 hours to get him, but to me it felt like 12 hours. But we're in the prison. I remember going to the prison and seeing the first thing I remember is like seeing all of the people in prison. Like, they all had like these green like jumpsuits on, and me and my father, because he was at a maximum like security prison, he basically was at this one, he basically had a glass in front of him. So there was this huge glass in front of us, and he has to use the phone to have a conversation. So, you know, he comes out, and he a light-skinned dude with like good hair, and I remember he had these big glasses. Like, I like the smaller glasses that you can see, but he had these huge like glasses that were like, I don't know, it looked like from the 70s or something. They were huge, but I remember they were yellow. I remember he was real proud about having these glasses. So he comes out, he sits down, he introduces himself. Yo, what's your dad? I've been missing you, son. Before we start this, we should start this off with a prayer. You know, I don't know prayer, so I'll try to blah, 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 blah. Right. He does that. Yeah, son. You know, so how you been? How's life? And, you know, I'm giving him all the responses I can think of as an 11-year-old would. Oh, you know, just got done beating this game, you know, going to school, going to sleep, you know, eating food. Nothing out of ordinary. And I remember he was telling me, you know, about his life and how he kind of got to prison and how he kind of got here. And, you know, he had a really colorful life. And I'll try to spare you the details, but let's just say, because he had an abusive home growing up, from what I understand, it led to him, you know, making decisions on the streets as a young adult, which, you know, kind of changed his life going forward. From what I understand, my father was arrested at like age 17, and then from there was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Now, I could be wrong on the age. Maybe it was like maybe 18, 19. I'm not sure, but it was around that age period. Like I would say 17 through 20, he could have been when he was sentenced. Fast forward back to us at the prison. He's asking me all these things. He's giving me all these Bible scriptures and Bible quotes and telling me all these different things that I don't know nothing about. And I remember he kept talking in parables. I remember he kept saying stuff like, so son, if you could have he was like, is there an amount of money that you could name that would make you happy? And I'm like, nah, I want all of it. And he was like, see, son, that's the problem right there. That's the thing with greed. You know, anybody could, you know, you could be chasing money forever. It could be on a hamster wheel. And I remember he started trying to teach me a lesson. And I was just like, dude, I don't want to learn no lesson. I just met you. So all that's happening, but that's not really what's important to me. What's important to me is, for the first time in my kid life, I'm seeing my adult mom, I'm seeing my adult father in the same room at the same time, breathing the same air. This to me is like SmackDown versus Raw. This is something that I haven't seen in quite a bit, in quite a while. Let's get back to this work. For those just tuning in, we're playing 82 games to start in 5. We are 18-6. I got to change that. I had to leave that last game because we was getting stomped. But yeah, I'm having a problem when it comes to these shifty point guards. When they can just do anything, it becomes pretty hard. Dunking on me, hitting threes, it's just like, yo, I don't understand it. And I'll be honest, like 2K is just so bad. It's so hard to commit this year. It's just like, I'm playing this game. I'll be honest, I'm most likely going to start playing different games going forward just to kind of keep the series going and keep me interested, because 2K is so trash. I just can't even continue. But anyway, he's talking in parables. He's giving me all these different quotes and Bible things. And I'm just like, man, I don't know nothing about that. But like I said, what's important to me at this time is seeing SmackDown versus Raw. My mom is here. My dad is here. They both on the phone. They both talking. What the conversation goes is something like this. Yo, what up, M? It's a long time no see. You know, feel like you've been avoiding me. M responds, so you've been in jail for a long time. Are you gay now? That's what she said. Don't blacklist me. Don't cancel me. That's what she said. Yeah, run his pockets. For Biggie. Ooh. So that happens. That real life happens. That happens. She asked that man the first time after seeing him in who knows how many years. Let's say 10 years. Probably, I'm exaggerating. Probably like 7 years. Close to a decade. First question out of her mouth is, you've been in jail for a long time. Are you gay now? I'll never forget the look on my father's face as he was asked that question. He was shocked, appalled, and angry all at the same time. He had this look like, wow, if it wasn't this glass here, break through and see you about that question. But, you know, my son is here and I'm not going to try to break this glass. Like, that's the what I got from his response to that question. Like, he didn't like it. Tight defense is out of control. Please get my way. Please get my way. Please get my way. Please get my way. Oh, oh my God, he would not. Anyway, I'm asking for him to, anyway, he's angry about this question being asked, but he's trying to remain biblical. You know, he wants to keep everything in the, you know, from the perspective of God. And I think, you know, because he wants to give a good impression, right? Like, he's already in prison. We don't know each other. So I'm assuming that he wants to be on a quote unquote best behavior to me in regards to getting to know me, because this is our first time and he's trying to build a rapport. Obviously, all I know about him so far is that he calls people's house phones, tracks them down, and gives some good arguments and great argument points and convinces them to come see him. So that's all I really know about him. But, you know, like I said, I'm seeing SmackDown versus Raw happen for the first time. My father respond back and he say, you know, that's a crazy question. You a funny girl. I don't know why you would ask me a question like that, but you should know I never do that. You know what I'm saying? I would never do that. I'm always down to the women in this world. You know what I'm saying? And God said, you know, you should only be with women and da 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 da. And he goes on this rant about what God said about women. And I was like, all right, cool. So safe to assume he did not like that question. Cool. All great. Out of bounds, let's go. So all I remember from that point on is being sent to go get a lot of snacks. Anybody who's visited prison knows that getting snacks is a big thing. Like, you have to get the snacks. Like, somebody has to bring a lot of quarters and a lot of money, cash, to the jail so that you can go to the vending machine and get them all of their snacks that they love, that no one thinks that they should be eating. But this is all they got, and this is like recess for them. So if you're in jail, the vending machines is like recess. Seeing your family and eating some garbage, oh, it's like heaven. That's, you know, for prison, that's all they got. Oh, I should have pumped. That's what happened when you don't wait. Wait one pump. That's off. Let's go. So I remember I'm getting a bunch of snacks at the time, and at the first, when I'm getting the snacks, I'm thinking I'm getting the snacks because, you know, everybody, you know, is hungry for snacks. I'm starting to realize at some point in time that this is not about no snacks, because every time I look over at them to see what's going on as I'm getting their snacks, they look really angry, and it's a lot of yelling. It's a lot of that going on. So I don't know what was happening in that conversation. I never got the details, but wow, another pump happens again. But I never got the details on that story. I don't know what was said, but yeah, that happened. Come on, no fade. Oh, he cooking, chat. I gotta turn it up. I gotta lock in. But as I came back with all these snacks, the energy would just kind of go back down. So I never kind of caught on what was going on, but I can kind of estimate that question about him being gay was not, he ain't like that one. If I can just take a wild guess at what was going on there. Wow, this is, we going against like the 94 Pistons defense. This is crazy. No. Let's get that. So as I'm coming back with the snacks, the mood calms down, and you know, the rest of the visit is pretty tame, but that would kind of be the theme going forward, right? So we had that first meeting, everybody drives home, and then from there, me and my father start to see each other again. Now we're starting to see each other a little bit more, and now I'm getting curious to know why he's in prison and when is he getting out. I remember that there was a large point of question that I had to keep asking, because I was very concerned about starting a relationship with a man who was never going to get out of prison. Like, I felt like that would kind of be a waste of time. And you got to understand, you know, I know hindsight looking in, like, oh, how could you think like that? But to me, it's like, I don't know this dude. Like, who is this dude? And to be honest, I'm like 11, 12. Like, to me, it's like, I'm kind of past the father thing. Like, so many people, my mom has had boyfriends at this point in time, and oh wow, I don't know what's going on, but we're getting that's why it's hard to communicate the story. But anyway, but I'm kind of over the father thing, and he's trying to be a father while in prison, and it's like, I'm not trying to let him, because, you know, why are you doing that? It's like, so to me, like I said, I'm now asking questions every time we go visit him. When are you getting out? When are you getting out? When are you getting out? And my father is one of the most confident people in the world. You know, he would never let you really know when he was getting out, because to him, he was always getting out ASAP. Like, it was always in the midst of something of him getting out. And I remember, like, every time I would ask him, he'd be like, yeah, I got this cooking up. I'm talking to this lawyer. And, you know, really, if you contact this person and contact this person, you know what I'm saying, we can get a shot to fight this case. You know what I'm saying? I can be heard and just have my day in court. And I remember he tried to like enlist me to like help him with his case. And I remember I was being like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I got school and stuff, and that's going to interfere with my work. So I didn't help him with the court case, I'll be honest. But like I said, I don't really know him, and you coming on pretty strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine somebody you don't know calling you out of the blue one day and being like, yeah, now I'm your dad, come work on my case. Nah. That's a lot of work too. So, like I said, he's continued. I go to see him 2 or 3 times, and he's continuously giving me the runaround in regards to this date. So finally, one day, I just go look it up. I go see myself, like, when are you scheduled to be released? Yo, the release date was like 2042. I started doing the math. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be like 45, and he gonna be like 58. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. I'm like, I'm wasting my time. So immediately from that point on, I'm not interested in really talking to my father, because to me, it's like, why am I getting close to know a dude who's trying to give me directions and wants all my help when I don't even know him, for one? For two, he not gonna get out no time soon. So I'm gonna be doing all his work for a dude who's gonna be in there since 2042. Like, you know how long that is? Especially in my mind at that time at like 11. Like, oh, it to me at 30, walking down the, doing things that take 10 minutes feels like an hour to me. So somebody telling me at let's say 2002 that the next time you gonna be out is in 2042. Oh, you might as well say, well, he got life. That's how it was interpreted to my brain. He's trying to make a move, chat. Oh, they gave him. That's actually nuts. Oh, come on. Ooh, double him. Oh no, why is he wide open? So it gets to a point now in the story where I'm really over going to see him and his Bible quotes and, his little stories. Like, it's cool, but like every time, like, I'm kind of feel like, if I'm being honest, at the time, I feel like our relationship is more of him trying to teach me, which I don't want or need. It's partially him trying to get back with my mom. So, that was a large theme of the story. Everything was about, oh, what's your mom doing? Oh, what's your mom, like, why is she with that dude that answered the phone? He sound like a bum. Like, I will say a large reason on why me and my father never really had a relationship is because I think he was, in his mind, trying to reunite his family, not realizing that part had already passed. Like, there was no reuniting the family. You to her were a phase, and to you and to him, because my mom is like the nicest girl at this point in time. From his words, she's like one of the most innocent girls that he's been dealing with, because, like, he's a criminal, so he's dealing with criminal women. My mom is not a criminal, so this is like standing out to him, and it's like that's important to him. It's like, wow, I want to be with someone who's not doing that, like who I can trust with my kids, who going to raise them right, and all these different things. So in his mind, as I'm going to see him on the 5th and 6th visit, I'm starting to realize, like, this dude don't care about me, man. Like, all he wants is my mom. At least that's what I'm thinking young growing up. Like, he's just he's just doing this make a dad play nonsense so he can go get my mom. And it's like, I'm all set. I'm not here to be your love counselor, and I definitely don't care. So we lose contact. And by lose contact, because I'm going to say that a couple times in the story. By lose contact, I basically mean I stopped communicating with him. And by stop communicating with him, I basically mean just like that. I stopped communicating. Anytime he calls the house phone, like, he's still calling, wanting the relationship, and he's still sending letters and all of that, but I'm not responding because I don't want to be lectured, and I also don't want to I don't want to hook my mom up, for one, like, ever, like this, and ever. But also, on top of not wanting to hook her up with somebody, I also don't want to hook her with somebody up in jail. Like, you don't got the best circumstances going on, if I'm being a fair, assessment of the situation here. And I like to think I'm a fair person who hooks people up. The date, a host of the show, a daterer, the hookup artist, as some may say. I like to think I'm fair. So I'm not going to give one contestant who has, a job, a family, children, you know, hope for the future. I'm not gonna hook one of my contestants up with somebody who's in prison till 2042. And I'm also not gonna be annoyed by this prisoner who's you know, bothering me, trying to get my mom. So I just cut off all connection. Fast forward, I'm like 18 now to decide the story. My father, he finds us again, and now he really wants to have conversation. Around this time of him wanting to have these conversations, I think I was more susceptible to having them because I really disliked who my mother was dating. So honestly, I just wanted to talk to anybody who was an adult who I felt like would hear me out. So I remember around 18, me and him started to have our little second run of a relationship. And in that portion of time, oh yeah, it's over, chat. That's 18-7. That's 18-7. This is not good tonight. We are not hitting out good. But the story is picking up. Anyway, I'm getting stumped. Anywho, so we're back at it at 18. 18 kind of goes something like, it's off and on because my mom doesn't really want to take me to go see him because of where he's placed. He's kind of like, he's getting closer to me, but he's still kind of far out. So let's say before, at the beginning portion, he was 6 hours away. Now he's 4 hours away. And my mom don't really want to do that. She don't really want to drive me to go see somebody who's in prison. So, and I understand that. So the relationship at 18 is mostly communication through letters, and every now and again, I would say every 3 months, my mom would go take me to go see him. And at this time, you know, he's still doing him, which is just becoming more of a man of God. And he's still trying to give me more directions on the Bible and all this different stuff. And I remember, you know, we got close again, and he started doing what he normally do, which is trying to bag my mom. And, you know, he kept trying to ask me questions about stuff. But around this time, this is when I'm now more curious about to know why he's in prison. So he tells me, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on why he's in prison, but let's just say he essayed someone who happened to be of a younger age. I don't know the age, but let's just say a minor. So, and again, I don't really know much about this, so I'm not going to go into much detail on it, but that is a portion of why he is in prison. He tells me this. And when he tells me this, I'm like, wow, this sucks. Like, in my mind, you are a hardcore street thug. Like, I told all my friends, you are a hardcore street thug, and you're not no street. You a Lester, like Lester the molester. Like, you one of them. And I told everybody you was a street thug, because all I heard growing up was your dad was in prison because he kidnapped somebody. And I'm like, all right, cool. I don't know much about that, but I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, kidnapping, I don't know much about it, but it sounds cool to me. You know, somebody like, in my mind, I don't know the story of why he kidnapped somebody, but in my mind, I can make that make sense. I can be like, they owe you some money, kidnap them. You know, they took your shoes, kidnap them. You know, they looked at you wrong, kidnap them. Like, I can make that make sense. But the second part of that, I can't make it make sense. So then we lose contact again. Mainly because I'm feeling like, yo, I can't have a relationship with a dude who got this on his record. Like, this is, like, for me, I'm considering myself a quote unquote feminist. It's almost disloyal to be to have a relationship with somebody who did that. At least that's what I'm feeling and thinking at the time. Time goes past. My father gets, let's say the last time we talked was like 18. You fast forward the conversation. We maybe have conversations briefly through phone call throughout the years. Like, maybe once in a blue moon, I answer his phone call. But for the most part, it's kind of silent for the next couple of years, up until from that age of 18. The next time me and him really kind of communicate, I'm like maybe 28, 27 in the story. And the next time that me and him communicate, he's starting to get sick. And he's now sick with stage 4 cancer. Hearing that he had stage 4 cancer was interesting, man. I didn't know how to take it. I was more, if I'm being honest, I was more concerned with self. I was like, man, it's gonna come back to get me. But yeah, I was just more, I didn't know what to feel or how to kind of think about it, but I just remember thinking like, you know what, this is my last opportunity to get to know my father, so I should take it. So I took it. So me and my father were starting to see each other again. We're talking every day. We're having our conversations. And man, you know, I'm going to visit him at the hospital. And hospital jail is different than hospital jail is different, but it's the same in regards to jail. So hospital jail, here's the difference. So in hospital jail, you go to a regular hospital, you go on some like random floor, and it's jail like. So when you get up there, you got to talk to somebody through like a little phone booth, and you like, hey, I'm here to see, you know, prisoner James. Oh, and they like, all right, you want to see prisoner James? All right, cool. Give me a second. Blah, 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 blah. Yo, we got some bozo here trying to see prisoner. Yeah, we got some bozo here trying to see prisoner. And then a bunch of correction officers come out. They come grab you. They do a search. They make sure that you don't have nothing on, so you don't give it to the prisoners. And then you go to the back to where their hospital bed is and have that conversation with them. And the conversations are typically limited to about an hour. So what's working in my father's favor at this time, and we're seeing each other a lot now, is because he's at the hospital, and the hospital was like maybe 15 minutes away from my house. So it's now nothing to see him versus that couple hours that you would have to drive to go see him at his prison. So we're now starting to see each other a lot more, and we're having more conversations, and I'm getting to know him and he's getting to know me. And, you know, I'm starting to understand who he is as a man. And what I'm picking up on is it's hard to describe because he had a lot going on. But if I can simplify my father in the most brief terms, he had a troubled childhood, and it led to him making poor decisions, and those poor decisions led to him being in prison. Him being in prison, you know, led to him changing his life around and in the image of God. And I think he lived his final days as a changed man. That part will come back in the story in just a minute. So we're having all of these conversations, and, you know, my father, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And wouldn't you believe, every time we talk, he getting better and better. Now, obviously, I wasn't expecting him to die, but that is what I was told before, right? Like, so they said, hey, like, he got a couple months. That couple months was like, he got a couple years to the tumor's gone to, oh, he's actually much better. Like, he's all healed. And I remember like feeling like, yo, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. So he gets better, he gets healthy. And I remember our relationship starts to get a bit dicey because he's back to his old ways again. He's trying to bag my mom, and he's also asking me, he's now more aggressive about life, right? Like now, because I think he has experienced cancer and he realized his time is running short, and he realized that because his whole idea and strategy for getting out of prison at this point in time is now dependent upon like programs and things like that. From what I understand, like there's certain programs where if you get sick or if you have cancer and you're a prisoner and you've been there for a certain amount of time, you can maybe get commuted for the rest of your sentence. And I think that was his big like ace in the hole in regards to getting out, because everything for him was, I'm getting out at some point pretty soon. Just keep that in mind. So, man, he starts to get stronger, and as he's getting stronger, he's getting more pushier. Like I said, he's now back up to his old trick. So now he's asking me to do way more things. Hey, you know, we should start a business. Hey, we should do this. Hey, we should do that. And at first, I was like, you know what? Let's start a business. Because I thought, you know what? That'd be actually cool. If me and my father start a business, that'd be cool. He can use his jail power, and I can use my street power. You know, and we can figure something out. Didn't work out at all. Basically, it was me doing everything and him telling me what to do from prison, which I thought was just, I'm like, I don't need no manager to tell me what to do, especially who don't understand. It's like, I'm over here telling him how, you know, to have an online store. He don't even know how to use online, but he's trying to tell me what to do. So, you know, immediate turn off. If I'm not lying. I didn't like that. I immediately was like, ooh, all right, put that down in the strike list of, I'm probably not gonna come back and come visit you, because You get on my nerves, man. And I'll be honest, man, I treat people in prison like cyberbullies. Like, if I don't like how things are going, I'm gonna just turn the TV off. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna like argue with you and be like, come on, man, stop this. I'm just, oops. Cause I ain't gotta do it. I don't have to go through that. I'm grown as hell. I don't have to go through that. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying what happened. So at this time, I'm now starting to distance myself away from my father. Cause in my mind, he's healthy. I've stuck with him through the worst of times. So he know I'm real. But also, he's annoying, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he be doing too much. Like, get on my nerves. And, you know, my father is real forceful. He has a real idea of how things should be done, how you should go about life, you know, what you should be doing or how you should be saying things to people. All of these different things. He had a real idea of how things should go. So I remember him telling me one final command. We had started a clothing business together, and he had told me, yo, what I want you to do for the clothing business is I want you to do this design. And he started giving me all these designs, and all the designs are like Bible scriptures, and they had to do with like cancer and all of these different things, right? So he's giving me all of that and giving me all of these different things to get done. And I remember I bring him the first piece of clothing from the clothing line. He was like, that's not what I asked for. I said, blessed to the Lord. Where the blessed to the Lord shirts? And I never forget from that conversation on, I'm like, well, that just earned you 2 additional strikes. I'm not going to see you no more. So from that point forward, I stopped communication. I don't see him no more. Some time goes past. Let's say 2 years goes past. And the next call I get, my father's letting me know that his cancer's come back a bit stronger, and they missed something when they did, you know, when they looked at his body, and they missed this tumor when they did the initial cut, and now cancer's coming back a lot stronger. And this time he doesn't know how it's going to pan out. His faith is strong, but he doesn't know. And this is the next call I'm getting from him. And I'll be honest, I missed this call. I didn't get it. I let it go to voicemail, and he left a voicemail. So, man, at this time, I don't know how to feel. I'm like, yo, my dad is dying again. If I restart this relationship, he gonna get healthy, and then he gonna try to start another business. And I'm not trying to start no other business, man. Let me just say, man, I know it may seem harsh, but my father was inconvenient. Now, you gotta understand, from my perspective growing up, for one, I don't know you. You just introduced yourself at 11 years old. At 11, I've already formed a kind of an identity of who I'm gonna be, of who I am. I understand who I am in this world, too, in a sense. And it's like, almost in a sense, as a kid, it's like, what have you done for me lately? Like, who are you? What have you done? Like, did you go to jail on account of me? Did you make decisions that got you in jail because of me? And I know that sounds selfish, but that's the truth. That's how I feel about the situation at the time. It's like, who is this dude telling me what to do and giving me all these commands when I don't know who the hell he is? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea who this dude is. Fast forward. I go to see my father after the phone call. He is really skinny. He's lost a lot of weight. He is losing his hair, and he's getting real sick. And I can kind of tell that this time he may not make it. And that's rough, man. That's rough to deal with. To see a man who, every time I've seen him, has always been enthusiastic, has always had an urgency for life, and has always wanted to live his life, you know, to the fullest extent. To see that flame and that fire kind of flicker. It never went out, but it just flickered for a little bit. To see that confidence dwindle, man, it scared me, man. I will say it scared me. It scared me to no ends to see my father lose his confidence in regards to life. Because the conversation, you can tell because how the conversations kind of went. You know, it was more like, this is what I'm doing to get out. And I'm hoping that because I'm sick, I can now use that to qualify for this program to get out. And that's a lot of our conversations at this point in time. A lot of our conversations is him hoping to utilize some program that they have in New York State where if you're a sick prisoner, they let you out. And he's hoping that he qualified. So I know his name's on the list for qualification, but I don't really know much about this program or nothing about it. I just know that seems to be really important to him, and this is something that he's interested in. Yo, a popsicle? What's going on? The last 3 times I saw him, he just continuously got weaker and weaker. He started to get skinnier and skinnier, and the conversations went from him being more active, like the first time he was sitting in a chair and we're having face-to-face conversation, to the next time he's in a bed and he's laid down and he can't really have that conversation, and we're talking and we're having conversations, but he's in a bed. And then the last time I saw him, he's in a bed and he has no conversation left. Like he can't, he's sensibly there, like he can see me, he's making eye contact, all of that, but he's not, there's nothing there, there's nothing home. And man, I will say, seeing my father on his deathbed, that was tough. That was tough, because, you know, to see, like I said, I'm just seeing somebody who basically who dwindle away when they've been so strong and so full of life every single time I saw him. It's like, to see the light be sucked out of a person, or see the soul kind of leaving the body slowly, it's a very scary process, and unfortunately I've had to witness it a couple of different times, so I'm familiar with the process. But I'll never forget, throughout him being sick, the one thing that kept me happy or kept me laughing was he never lost his faith in getting my mom, like, ever. My mom, and to my knowledge, my mom never gave him any indication that he was ever going to get with her, like they were ever going to get back together. But in his mind, all it took was for him to get out of prison, get out of the situation, and he back. They pick up right like they never left off. And I always, like, on his deathbed, one of the last things he said to me was, and tell your mom, you know, she got to come see me more, and we gotta really stop meeting like this, and, you know, I really want our future to grow. Now, hearing that is, you know, you might hear that and say, okay, cool. Like, if your father want to meet with your mom and he wants their future to grow, what's the problem, Shakur? No problem. Here's the biggest problem, though. He was diagnosed. They told him, like, yo, you only got like a couple weeks to live. And he's talking about not only getting out, but rekindling their relationship once he's out. Like, I'm telling you, that's the confidence that he had embodied in him. Like, yeah, there may have been moments where he kind of like, he showed me like, damn, this is real, I might get out of here. But for the most part, he was always in that mode of, God not gonna bring me this far to leave me like this. I will say Christians, they have this faith when it comes to almost death, that they think God gonna bring them back, that I just commend at every point in time. Like, I personally, I'm not here to judge no one's faith or say anything bad about anyone's religion, but I just don't think it worked like that. Like, I don't think you get to do whatever you want when you want, and just because you believe in God now it's cool. You know what I'm saying? God gonna save you. Like, let's say hypothetically, right? I was a weirdo, and, you know, I was going around infecting people with an incurable disease. If I now have an incurable disease that is affecting my life, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Anywho, my father passes away maybe 2 weeks after our last visit. I bring this story here to tell you about how the funeral went. I'm telling this whole hour and 10-minute story just to get to this one part, because I feel like I was never granted the floor to say how I wanted to speak my side of the story, and I'm gonna use my show and my platform now as I open my team cards to respond back, basically. So I'm gonna tell you how my father's funeral went. First of all, it's very chaotic. Like, it's very chaotic. It's so chaotic. The reason why it's chaotic is because my grandmother at the time, my father's mother, she doesn't want the prison to bury him. In her mind, if he's already lived a life where he was in prison, he should at least be buried not in prison. Very commendable. Very, very, very commendable. And I love that, and I love the enthusiasm behind all of that. One problem, we're all broke. Huge problem here. We are all broke. Everybody in the story is broke. I'm broke. My mom's broke. My grandmother's broke. Like, all of the main characters in the story, even my father, like, in his criminal lifestyle, believe it or not, broke. Everybody is poor in this story. So, you know, that was the only caveat to her plan, which I thought was interesting, because it wasn't like, you know, she had money in the bank, or, you know, and I guess in her mind, I think she kind of heard rumors like, oh, I can start a GoFundMe. But like I said, my father was convicted of some pretty harsh charges, and let's just say they did start a GoFundMe, and I'll just say it like this: the public didn't like it. The public was not happy about that. All it took was like one Google search, and the comment section was killing my dad. Oh, you say the minor? Oh, rot in jail, you bozo. And they going crazy. Every comment's getting worse. One comment says, yeah, he shot me last time I saw him. I hope he died. I'm like, this is the worst comment. He raped me. Don't let him out. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Now, I think a lot of celebrities have had rough chats and rough comment sections, but man, that's a rough comment section. You got to think, man, even if you're not a part of it, even if you're not really fond of the characters involved, just knowing the affiliations, that's the rough part of the story for me. Because it's like, man, I had nothing to do with that. Like, but man, I don't like it. This ain't, I don't like these comments. I don't like how I feel seeing these comments. I don't like any of it. And some of you may ask, you know, you went to go see your dad a couple times. Did you ask him about the essay? And I did. And his response was something to the tune of, he was beefing with some dude and he was dating the dude's girlfriend that he was beefing with. And as a way to kind of get back, he did something to the girl. Now, from what I understand, he did not, you know, insert his genitals into her genitals. That part has been vividly laid out, very clear to me, on his accord. I don't know much about the story, but this is what I've been told. This part may get edited out, I don't know, but this is my truth. Like I said, I'm just telling you the information how I heard it. So I'm seeing all these comments in the comment section, and I'm telling you, man, I don't know how to feel about it. I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, yo, should I even affiliate with people like this? Like, I'm thinking, like I said, I already kind of left this dude before because of stuff like this. So I'm thinking, like, man, I should have just stayed out of this, man. Like, he got a bad rep in the streets, and they're gonna be thinking, like, why are you hanging with this dude? And I'm like, oh, that's my dad. No, that's your dad. Like, it was the worst. So the day of the funeral, somehow, some way, my grandmother comes and, you know, gets donations from the hood and figure out a way to get to this funeral. So we have the funeral. I get to the funeral. First off, I'm wearing my grandfather's shoes. That's only important because I put them on because my grandfather had also passed from cancer. And I kind of felt like it was me putting these shoes on was going to be paying homage to my father in a sense, and like maybe the forefather above him type of thing, right? Yo, the shoes was the base. I didn't know when I got these from my grandfather that he was giving out bad shoes, but the shoes, the base from it and the top was like flip flop, like they weren't together. Like when you stepped, one part went up, the other part went down. So and I never tested these shoes. I just put them on because I didn't see the flip flop before I put them on. And unfortunately, I didn't see it until when I got in the car either. But when I got out of the car, I felt it. So I'm walking and I'm flip-flopping at the funeral, and you know, I see my father in the casket, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I'm just really bugged out that he died. Not because, you know, I don't believe that people who have cancer, you know, like cancer isn't rough, but more from the sense of like, yo, you had just got better. Like, god damn, like, we were supposed to, like, me and him throughout all of our visits, we had so many conversations about what we would do once he got out. So the fact that we never got to experience that or have those or to ever see what that looked like, I thought was just unfortunate. But, you know, God has different plans for everyone. Yeah. We're at the funeral. I'm flip-flopping around. I didn't know this walking into the funeral, but what I later found out was everybody who's doing this funeral is like prior, like the pastor, the dude's giving the speech, like everybody is like homegrown. Like that's how my grandmother was able to pull this off, because everyone who did it, she knew, and they basically owed her like a favor. So she got like the dude who was doing the sermon knew my father. The you know, if they have some, I think somebody played the piano, he knew my dad. Like literally, it was just like a family reunion where they had somebody just at a funeral. Or they had a family reunion at a funeral for my dad. So I'm sitting down, the pastor's on stage. Like I said, everybody knows, everybody who's doing anything associated with this funeral, they know my father, but they know a version of my father that I don't know. They know him when he was in the streets. I know brother love, brother, you know, brother peace, you know, I know the strong Christian man who shows up and gives me Bible quotes. I don't really know. I've heard stories about this man that they're all describing, but I've never heard these stories from the perspective that I'm about to hear them from. So everybody on stage, so the pastor starts off this, no, let me go back. So yeah, the pastor starts off the sermon and he goes and he's like, yeah, you know, today we lost, you know, one of our brothers who was in Christian faith, who thank God decided to turn his whole life around, because woo, he had a rough one growing up. Thank God he turned his life around. I just want to take a moment in prayer to think about the brother who turned his life around, because woo. So that's how we pretty much start off the funeral. That's maybe not, I'm paraphrasing. That's probably not exactly what he said, but I'm paraphrasing. So the pastor starts off kind of rough, and then you kind of figure, because I'm trying to figure out, like, why is the pastor going at my dad? Like, why is he kind of like saying, like, it doesn't feel pastorally, it feels kind of microaggressive, if I can kind of dictate the vibe. And I kind of figured that out later in the story. So the you know, he's giving his Bible scriptures and Bible quotes and all this different stuff, and giving a sermon, you know, about my dad. And like I said, I'm seeing my father in the casket, and I'm kind of sitting a couple rows back, and he's really dark. Like, he's really dark, like to the point where, like, the last time I saw him, I didn't even recognize him the last time I saw him. Like, the very last time I saw him, I remember I went in the room and I was like, oh, I'm looking for James. And he was kind of laid out, like unconscious. And I'm like, oh, that's not him. And I remember I went to somebody else, and I'm like, oh, this got to be my dad, because he kind of dark skinned, but he looked more like my dad than whoever that other dude was. And then, like, one of the nurses came back and they was like, oh, where you going? This is your dad. And I'm like, ooh, that's my dad. So, like, those cancer treatments, they are really, you know, fucked his skin tone all the way up. So, man, when we get to that funeral, I'm just continuously looking at him, and I'm just thinking, like, wow, he did all of that changing and becoming a Christian man off of this. That's what I'm thinking at the time when I'm watching my father be, you know, pretty much giving his sermon. And they're starting to allow people up on stage now to give their accounts. And every story is worse than the last, you know, because my father was a criminal. So the people who came to this are either past criminals, victims of his criminal activities, or his family. And every response is worse than the last. So you got some people who get on stage like, yeah, man, I can't believe my man, you know, I can't believe he died, you know what I'm saying, like this, you know what I'm saying, when we was in the streets, you know what I'm saying, we was doing our thing, we was making them chit chat with a blah blah, you know what I'm saying, anybody who came at us, we was like, do, you know what I'm saying, like, this is all on stage too, by the way. They telling their stories just like that. And he's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, we would just see somebody walking down the street and we'd be like, yo, let's rob them. And they like, yeah, let's get them. And then boom, you know, then we robbed them. And then, you know, that's how we ate for the day. And I remember, like, some of those jokes, and I'll never forget feeling so embarrassed, like secondhand embarrassment. Because it's like, wow, here's one of my father's friends giving his a testament about my father. And all of the stories that he's telling are some of the worst stories ever. And my wife's family is here, and she's here, and they're hearing all of these stories. So they don't know about my father, but they're hearing everything now. So they're hearing all of these different sides, and none of them paint them out to be the man that I've grown to know over this period of time. Like I said, from age 7 when he first discovered us to, 28 to 30. I've been in this man's life throughout different periods of times, kind of like on some phases. So I've seen my father throughout different eras, and I've seen a real life progression from him changing. So I have a different viewpoint of him than most people. Most people don't believe that you can change once you've committed a crime such as the one that we're talking about. And I would say that everybody is you are entitled to your opinion. I personally believe that you can come back from anything in life, no matter what it is. You can kill 100 nuns and God will still forgive you. Now, you may have to, you may reincarnate on this planet a couple times. Like, it may be a couple different things there may be a couple karmic cycles that you have to play out. But nobody is above saving, because at the end of the day, and if you're asking me, this is all a video game. This isn't real, right? Like, we're all sent here as like mini gods just in training. So yeah, this is all a video game. Just run it back. Good luck. It's almost like Halo. When you die, just respawn. Go ahead, do it again. But anyway, so we're at the funeral. Everybody's on stage. Like I said, the one dude's giving his account about how he was shooting guns with my father and robbing people. The next group gets on. Now we got some victims. And you got some people like, yeah, James, he was cool, but every now and again he would come and, he would rob us and take our stuff, and he would just bully us because he was like that, but thank God he found God. And I'm sitting down like, man, who let these people on the stage? Nevertheless, so now we start to get to the last group, which is the family. So now the family's coming out and giving their accounts of everything, and they're giving they have a lot more to say about, because now all of my siblings are here. And here's a side note about my siblings being here. Some of my siblings didn't even know my father had cancer, because my father never intended to die with cancer. So he didn't tell anyone like, hey, I'm in dire straits, you should come visit, it's getting close. Because in his mind, for one, if you cared, you would come check on me, which I think was a logic in his thinking because he's in jail. But nevertheless, that's how he felt. He felt like, y'all should come see me, da. So I say all that to say that when we get to the family group and the family is now giving their reports and my siblings are not here, they're in complete and total shock, because this is the first time they've seen my father in years, probably like, let's say decades. Someone I'm going around asking like, hey, when the last time you seen him? Oh, like 8 years. Oh, like 7 years. Oh, like a decade. Mind you, I got like 15 siblings. He was out here getting busy. So nevertheless, some of the siblings can't even come here because they're in jail. Another story for another day. So everybody's up there from the family, and everybody's giving their pretty much their testament of the man they knew, and how they're shocked about what is happening right now. Because in their minds, they're angry. Like, the total vibe that I'm getting from my siblings at this time on my father's side is they're angry. They are pissed that no one told them that he was in this worse of shape. Like, they would have came, they would have visited, they would have done more, they would have, given more recipes or sent more stuff to the prison had they known that it had gotten this serious. My father, like I said, never intended to die, so he never intended to tell anyone. His goal was, like, in my father's mind, if I'm being serious, he thought that, hey, I'm gonna use this sick, God is making me sick again so I can qualify for this jail program, so I can get out early, so I don't have to do this whole 30 years. Unfortunately, that's not how it worked. God came to collect this time, unfortunately. But everybody's on stage, and it kind of goes something like this. I didn't know he was like this. This is so terrible. Like, I don't even know who that is in there. I don't know who that is. My dad, the dad I knew, he was a fly. He was fly. He was light skinned. He had good hair. He used to rob people with a mask. Who is that? I have no idea who that is. I have a lot of siblings on my father's side. So that's for maybe 5 to 6 people, that's pretty much the same message. Everybody in different ways are saying it. some people are walking up and saying, I don't know who that is in there, and I wish somebody would have told me that he was sick, but this is some bullshit. May he rest in peace. Or you have some people like, yo man, this ain't right, and they walk off. Like, everybody's having different ways, but the siblings don't like this, and everybody's mad at my grandmother because they feel like if the father wasn't going to say anything, you should have said something because you're always talking to him. You're like his right-hand man. You know, when it comes to talking to my father, you only talking to him because you're on three-way with my grandmother, who's also connecting him to have this conversation, right? Like, you're not getting that call directly from Daddy-O. You're getting it as a three-way call. Like, so they are like this. She knows pretty much all of, anytime my father has had a conversation with any of us, she has heard every word of conversation. So you got to understand, from the siblings' point of view, they're looking at her like, you are a piece of work because you knew he was sick. You have been visiting him. You knew we didn't know, and you didn't tell us. But how? You didn't tell us he was in this bad a condition. So I'm sitting down and I'm just kind of watching everybody give their piece and give their testimony and say their things. And like I said, I didn't get a chance to an opportunity to say my part. And the reason I didn't get to say an opportunity to say my part is because everybody had there's like 15 siblings on my side, and they're all shocked. Everybody can't believe it. Everybody is dismayed. So because everybody is in shock and they cannot believe that my father is looking like this, by like the 8th sibling, the pastor comes back on and he's like, all right, I'm gonna just take that microphone from you. Excuse me, sister, you go sit down. And yes, so that was the testimony and the sermon and the funeral of Brother Love. May he rest in peace for good. And I just remember thinking because after my very last sibling that was up there, I had made my mind up that I'm gonna go say something. Like, it wasn't like I was sitting back, like just letting all of these things be said and not feeling away. Every time somebody's on stage and they're talking about, oh, he's so black and crispy, I can't believe this, I'm thinking like, nigga, I was there. I found out. It wasn't that hard for me. You live in Buffalo. Like, in my mind, I'm mad at my siblings because why didn't you contact me? Nobody ever asked me how he was doing. So in my mind, it's like, y'all all got Facebook. Y'all all got all of these social media things. I'm not hard to find. I've never been hard to find. So in my mind, that's how I feel about their outrage. And I've heard enough in regards to all of these people's different testaments of my father. And it's now my turn to speak. So I'm ready. By the 7th person on stage, I'm ready to give my testament because I feel like the person that they're telling about is either a criminal, either a double criminal, or just a piece of shit hider who hides his sickness and dies in his own privacy. So none of these are good. Nobody's liking, he has a bad rep at his funeral. Let's just say that. Everybody who gets on stage pretty much puts him, like, says like, yeah, he was great, but then he tried to rob me, or he was great, but he hit that, he was dying, so that dude, like, nobody got on stage and said something completely positive. And like my grandmother, when she got on stage, I was expecting her to really be the icing on the cake, to give this like grandiose, fantastic speech about my father that was going to change everybody's opinion about who he was. Like, yes, he was a criminal before, but now he's changed. And I thought when my grandmother got on stage, she was going to convey that. This is what happened. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming out. And I'm just happy that my son was able to find God and change his life before he died. Because, oh my. And then she got off stage. I was furious by the time she got off stage from that point forward. So by the time the 5th and 6th sibling got on, I'm basically like, come on, it's my turn. Oh, it's my turn. I'm sitting there like, it is my turn. Like, I'm gonna tell you my account about the man that I knew. At the very least, just to add some diversity. I'm not saying that what y'all saying is not true, but damn, this is his man's, he's dead. He's right here in the casket. We're not gonna try to make him, goddamn, talk okay about him. We can say how bad he is tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just one of those people who believe, like, goddamn, if the person did make a 360 change on the day of the funeral, maybe then we could have some compassion. Later on, put him in the dirt, go crazy, talk your stuff, tell him how he was just a piece of junk who didn't deserve to live, go crazy, right? I get it. The things that he was arrested for, this is crazy stuff. I get it. I never got my opportunity to go because the pastor came back up and he was like, woo, let's just end it there. I think we all can say that James has robbed all of us. So let's just end it here and peace. And he wrapped it up. And I remember feeling like, yo, I got to say something about my dad because I don't think that enough people are even giving him enough of a fair shake. So here's my response after an hour and 34 minutes of talking. And I apologize. My father was a lot of different things. I'll start with the negative. He was annoying as hell. He was bothersome, troublesome. He was a bit of a stalker on the low a little bit. Like, he would find where you lived and you never told him where you lived. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I never said these negatives are going to be great, but he got some negatives. My father was a man of circumstances who responded back to life in the best way that he thought he knew how. He didn't make the best decisions, and I'm not justifying anything that he did. I don't agree with what he did, and I told him that to his face when he was here. But to act like you can't be redeemed in this life, even if you don't believe that the action is redeemable, that's great. That's not your responsibility. You're not God. It's only one. Or it's only one source and you're not source, so it's not up to you to really have that outlook to do that. And I kind of felt like at his funeral, once it's okay to tell the negatives about a man because it's okay to tell the truth, but I also think that if you're gonna tell the truth, you should tell the full truth. And here's my full truth about my father. He was funny. He was so fucking funny. He was one of the funniest people I knew. He always had a smile on his face and the most dire of strengths. He was the most confident man I've ever met in my entire life. My mom rejected him every single time I've ever seen them in the same room, disrespected him, called him out his name every single time they've ever met. And every single time up until the day of his death, he was like, yo, so when I get out, me, your mom, and you, we're gonna just go out for dinner and just reunite like a family and just have a family day. Like, he never saw separation of my mom and him. And I always found that to be so hilarious because my mom never gave him any play, but like I said, his confidence and where he was in his mindset was all I need is one chance and I'll make everything change in this world. Everything. My father truly believed that if he got out, he was going to make a movie and he was going to put the movie out. If he got out, he was going to work. He was going to do a screenplay with Tyler Perry. Like, he told me all of these different things that he wanted to accomplish in his life. I mean, he never got to accomplish those things because he passed away. I personally feel like my father is a story that a lot of people can learn from in regards to what can happen if you neglect and abuse children at a young age and don't give them the nurturing love that they need in order to grow in this world. My father was not given a fair shake, and he didn't go into much detail about his childhood growing up, but from my understanding, it was never great. I'm not saying that to justify his actions, but I am saying that to humanize him. I think as a human, he may have failed in a lot of different areas, but that didn't mean that he wasn't a fighter for his redemption. And I believe that everybody is owed a story arc of redemption, whether you like it or not. That's just the way that life is supposed to work. So I truly feel like my father deserves to be honored on a lot of different levels. From what I understand, a lot of the people in prison was very devastated and hurt when he passed because he meant a lot of different things to a lot of different people. You know, when people met my father at his last prison, they said that he was basically their pastor. You know, so to them, it didn't matter that he had that charge. What mattered to them was that they were able to get the word from somebody who could speak the word in a confident manner and make you understand it on levels that you didn't see it from before, because he came directly from the streets, the same streets that you came from. So my father, I think, was used by God in a lot of different ways. And I think tonight I like to use his death as just a moment to say that anybody can come back from anything. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this podcast tonight. I did this whole hour-long podcast that was beautiful. Put a bow on it, and nobody could hear it. It didn't matter. That episode, it did not matter. And I think just like how that episode is, your path is just like that. It doesn't matter. As long as you walk in the faith and the spirit of God, and you moving strong and moving how you supposed to move in alignment with what you want in life, and you go through the process of really healing yourself, so you're not carrying on past traumas and passing them down to people and being mean and rude spirited, which my father began to heal and give and preach towards the end of his death. I think those are the important lessons. How many lives did you change? How did you try to affect people before you left this earth? So, yeah, my father did harm someone, but he helped a lot of people too. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is Can't Pause Life, episode 4. This is the redo version. I apologize for anyone who was watching that first stream and maybe was interested in the story, but caught parts of it because it went in and out. I was trying to do too much. I got like a 720p camera, and I'm trying to do 4K. That's my bad. That's my biggie. You know me. I'll do my thing. But my mouth is dry like a motherfucker. I'm about to watch Sean O'Malley get, handle his business. And yeah, this is Can't Pause Life, episode 4.